The dungeon beneath Varelia was cold and silent. The air was heavy, and the walls glowed with a faint blue pulse, alive like veins under skin. Eli Parker sat on the floor of his cell, staring at the strange markings carved into the crystal walls. Some looked ancient, but one symbol caught his eye, a circle with a line through it. It was Earth's scientific symbol for energy. How could this be here? He whispered. He reached out and traced the mark. As soon as his fingers touched it, the wall flashed. A hidden door appeared, a thin outline of light. His heart raced. Slowly, he pushed it open. Behind the door was a narrow tunnel filled with faint blue mist. The air buzzed with strange energy. Every step he took echoed softly. The further he went, the clearer the symbols became. Some were written in English, real English. Project Varelia. Phase 4, Dimensional Bridge. Warning, do not attempt contact. Eli froze. This is human technology. He realized the truth. Earth had been here before. Someone from his world had built something in this place long ago. But why? Hook scene. First 5 minutes. A soft whisper broke the silence. You found the passage. Eli turned sharply. At the end of the tunnel stood the Blue Princess, Leora, her light dim but calm. You shouldn't be here, she said. This place is forbidden. Eli stepped closer. Then why does it have my world's language on the walls? She looked down. Because humans came here once. Before your time. They opened the sky, built the bridge, and then vanished. Their arrival created me. Eli stared at her, confused. What do you mean, created you? She sighed softly. My mother was human. My father was from this world. When the portal collapsed, it fused both energies into one being. Me, she touched her glowing skin. That is why I shine. That is why they call me cursed. I am not one of them, not fully. Eli's mind spun. So your people fear you because you remind them of what humans did? She nodded. They believe the portal destroyed balance. And every human who falls from the sky makes it worse. Before Eli could reply, the sound of footsteps echoed down the tunnel. Guards. Leora turned quickly. You must leave. If they see us together again, they'll execute you. Eli clenched his fists. I can't just hide while they treat you like a curse. Her voice hardened. You don't understand. I can't even touch you without risking your life. Eli smiled faintly. Maybe I'm not like the others. Before she could answer, Lord Varen's voice thundered through the tunnel. Your Highness. Step away from the outsider! Blue fire flared in the distance, the guards' staffs glowing with energy. Leora's eyes flashed. This way! She hissed. She grabbed his hand, just for a second, and dragged him through another hidden door. Eli froze. He was still alive. Leora gasped softly and released him. Impossible, she whispered. No one has ever touched me and lived. Eli looked down at his hand. Faint blue light lingered there like a gentle spark. Maybe your curse isn't what you think. Her gaze was full of wonder and fear. If they find out, they'll destroy us both. They stepped into a secret chamber beyond the tunnel, walls filled with strange machines, glowing with soft blue lines. At the center was a massive glass sphere pulsing like a heartbeat. Inside it floated a cube covered in runes. Eli's eyes widened. This is a power core. A dimensional reactor. Leora frowned. A what? He explained softly. It's something humans built to open portals between worlds. If this is still active, it could be what keeps the curse alive. As he approached it, images flashed across the glass. Humans in lab suits, the first portal opening, and then chaos. A blue explosion tearing through the sky. Leora stepped closer. That was the day I was born, Eli whispered. The portal energy merged with life itself. It made you. She looked at him with quiet pain. Then I am the curse your people left behind. Eli shook his head. No. You're the proof that both worlds can connect, not destroy. Before she could reply, a loud explosion shook the chamber. The walls cracked. Smoke filled the room. Lord Varen's voice echoed again. You can't hide from fate, Princess. The outsider must be erased before the curse spreads. Leora's eyes filled with panic. They've found us. Eli grabbed her hand again. Then we run together. She stared at their joined hands, disbelief and hope mixing in her glowing eyes. You should be gone by now, she whispered. He smiled. Guess I'm different. They ran through collapsing tunnels, light flashing behind them. As they reached the exit, Leora stopped suddenly and turned back. My mother once said, she whispered, one day someone will take my hand without fear. And when that happens, this curse will break. She looked at him with tears in her glowing eyes. Maybe she was right. The chamber behind them exploded, blue energy rushing outward like a storm. Eli pulled her into the open air. When the dust settled, the palace lights flickered, and for the first time in centuries, the night sky turned dark blue instead of white. The night sky over Varelia burned with strange colors. Blue lightning flashed through the clouds as the palace alarms rang like thunder. Guards searched every street, shouting orders, hunting for one man and one woman, the outsider and the cursed princess. Eli and Leora ran through the forest outside the city, the soft glow of her light guiding their path. The trees shimmered like glass, their leaves reflecting her blue aura. Every breath they took left trails of mist in the cold air. Behind them, the city lights flickered, and then went out. The entire kingdom went dark. Eli stopped, gasping for air. What just happened? Leora looked up at the sky. Her glow flickered weakly. The connection to the core is broken, she said. The city's light comes from it. When it exploded, everything began to die. Her voice trembled, not from fear, but from something deeper. Guilt. This is my fault, she whispered. The curse is unraveling. When it breaks completely, it might destroy this world. Eli shook his head. No, we'll find a way to fix it. She looked at him sadly. You still don't understand. The curse is the world. If it ends, everything ends with it. Before Eli could reply, a deep roar rolled through the forest. The ground trembled beneath their feet. Somewhere far away, blue fire rose into the sky, forming a burning circle. The seal is open, Leora whispered. Something ancient is waking up. Hook scene. First 5-7 minutes. Suddenly, the trees around them began to move. The roots twisted like snakes, the ground glowing with blue cracks. A voice heavy and echoing filled the air. You dare touch the forbidden light? Eli turned in shock. The forest itself seemed alive, its face forming out of bark and flame. Leora stepped forward, eyes glowing brighter. We didn't mean to break the balance, she said. We only wanted to understand, the voice growled, shaking the air. Understanding brings destruction. Just like before, the humans came and they broke the stars. You are their mistake. The forest spirit raised its massive hand, ready to strike. Without thinking, Eli ran forward and pulled Leora back, his hand closing around hers again. A shockwave burst through the clearing. The spirit screamed. Light exploded around them, not cold, not deadly, but warm. The roots froze, then turned to dust. Eli's body glowed faintly, his heartbeat matching hers. When the light faded, the forest was silent again. Leora stared at him, eyes wide. You touched me again. And still you live. Eli nodded, breathless. Maybe I was meant to. Her expression softened, something close to hope appearing for the first time. You changed the curse, she whispered. Your energy. It's not destroying mine. It's healing it. They found shelter in an ancient temple deep within the forest. Its walls were carved with old symbols, human letters mixed with alien runes. Eli ran his fingers over the carvings. This is both your language and mine, he said. It's like two worlds written together. Leora sat quietly, her glow dim. My father built this place before he died. He said one day someone from the other world would return, someone who could finish what began here. Eli looked at her. Maybe that someone is me. She shook her head. You don't understand what that means. The curse isn't just energy. It's life. If it breaks completely, one of us will have to vanish, me or you. Eli stared at her, stunned. What do you mean, vanish? The portal needs balance, she said softly. When two worlds touch, one must fade to keep the other alive. He took a step closer. Then we'll find another way. Leora looked up at him. Her eyes glowed faintly, full of sadness. You speak like someone who hasn't lost everything yet. He reached out and gently lifted her hand again. Then let's make sure neither of us loses this world. For a moment, their lights merged, her blue glow and his faint human warmth blending into a bright white light. The temple symbols lit up, reacting to their touch. A beam of light shot upward through the roof and into the sky. Far away, in the palace tower, Lord Varen saw the beam and clenched his fists. So the human truly broke the curse, he said bitterly. If he lives, my power dies. He turned to his guards. Prepare the hunters. I want the outsider brought to me alive. Back in the temple, Eli and Leora stood at the center of the glowing circle. The air shimmered. Images appeared, flashes of another world, earth, skies filled with airplanes, oceans, cities. Eli's eyes widened. It's Earth. The portal is opening again. Leora stepped closer to the vision. If the portal opens without control, both our worlds will collide. Millions could die. He turned to her, desperate. Then we close it. Together. But before they could act, the ground shook violently. The temple's light turned red. A deep voice echoed once again. Leora collapsed. Eli caught her. Her glow was fading fast. You shouldn't have done that, she whispered. The energy inside me. It's almost gone. Eli held her tightly. We can still save you, she smiled weakly. You can't save what was never meant to stay. He shook his head. You're wrong. But before he could speak again, soldiers rushed in, not to attack, but to kneel. Princess, one said, voice trembling, forgive us. We saw the truth. You are not our curse. The people bowed. Light returned to the sky, faint but gentle. The world was healing, but slowly. As dawn approached, Leora stood at the edge of the palace balcony. The portal still swirled high above, unstable but smaller now. Eli came beside her. It's closing, she nodded. Yes, but it won't seal completely until the source returns. He frowned. The source? She placed her hand on her chest. The energy of the curse, me. Eli froze. No, there has to be another way, she smiled softly. You brought hope to a world that had forgotten it. That's your gift, Eli. Mine is to give this world one last chance. He reached for her hand. Leora. She looked at him, tears shining. When I cross the light, I'll leave a part of me behind. Follow it, and you'll find me, somewhere between worlds. Before he could stop her, she stepped onto the glowing circle. Her body began to rise, wrapped in blue flame. Eli shouted her name, but the light grew too bright to see. Final suspense. Ending. As she vanished into the sky, a single feather of light drifted down into Eli's hands. The portal above flickered, then closed completely. The storm ended. The people of Veralia fell to their knees, weeping. The curse was gone, but Eli stood alone, staring at the empty sky. You said to follow the light, he whispered. And I will. Behind him, the ruins of the portal shimmered faintly, showing for just a second the image of Leora smiling in another world. The storm had passed. Veralia was quiet again, too quiet. The sky that once burned blue was now pale and still. Eli stood on the balcony of the broken palace, staring at the sky where the portal had closed. The feather of light Leora left behind still floated in his hand. It pulsed faintly, like a tiny heartbeat. He whispered, You said to follow the light. So I will. For days he searched through the ruins, looking for any trace of the portal's energy. He found it deep beneath the palace, in the ancient chamber where the core once rested. Now the core was gone, but the walls still glowed faintly with Leora's light. Symbols written in both human and alien language shimmered across the stone. Eli touched one of the carvings, and the feather in his hand responded, glowing brighter. A whisper filled the air. Eli, her voice, faint, distant but real. Leora? He said quickly. Where are you? Between, the voice replied. Between worlds. Then the light flickered and faded. Eli took a deep breath. Then that's where I'll go. Hook scene, first 5-7 minutes. He followed the trail of light deeper into the chamber. The air grew colder. Strange symbols lit up around him, creating a spiral path. At the center, a shard of blue crystal floated, humming softly. Eli stepped closer. You're the key, aren't you? The crystal pulsed. The walls began to shift, forming a circular gateway made of light and shadow. Wind rushed around him, pulling his hair and clothes as the circle began to spin. Leora, he whispered, I'm coming. He stepped forward, and the world shattered. He felt like he was falling through water, through clouds, through stars. Images flashed around him, moments from both worlds. He saw Earth, cities, oceans, skies filled with aircraft. He saw Veralia, crystal towers, glowing forests, the palace in ruins, and between them floated countless fragments of light, pieces of people, memories, energy. He reached out and touched one. It showed Leora as a child standing in a garden of blue flowers. Her eyes were bright, her smile gentle. Then the vision broke apart. More memories flashed. Her father, the old king, building the first portal with human scientists. He saw the moment everything went wrong, the explosion of energy that cursed her blood and sealed the bridge forever. "So that's what happened," he whispered. "You were never cursed. You were made." Suddenly, the space around him shifted. The soft lights turned dark red. Something was moving in the shadows, a figure made of broken crystal and smoke. "You shouldn't be here," it growled. Eli backed away.
"Who are you?"
The creature's face formed slowly. It was Lord Varen, or what was left of him. His eyes glowed red, his body cracked and twisted. "The portal destroyed me," he hissed. "But in this place I can live again. All I need is the light you carry." He reached out a hand of black crystal. Eli held the feather close. "You'll never touch it," Varen's voice thundered. "You think you can reach her? Between worlds everything dies, even love." The space shook violently. Fragments of Earth and Varelia spun around them. Eli shouted over the storm, "You were wrong before, Varen. Light doesn't destroy. It saves!" He raised the feather high. It burst into brilliant white light, cutting through the red storm. Varen screamed as the light tore through him, turning his form into dust that scattered across the void. When the light faded, silence returned. Eli floated weightlessly among the fragments of both worlds. Then he heard it again, her voice, clearer this time. "Eli, you found the bridge." He turned and saw her, or at least her image, standing among the stars. Her body was made of light now, her hair flowing like silver wind. "Leora," he breathed. She smiled softly. "You came. I told you I would." Her hand reached out, glowing faintly. He reached toward it, but his fingers passed through. "You're not really here," he said quietly. "Not yet," she replied. "This is the space between life and memory. You crossed the gate, but your body is still fading." He looked down. His hands were half transparent, glowing faintly. "Then I'll fade with you," he said. She shook her head sadly. "No, you still have a world to return to. Varelia needs you. I don't care. I came for you. And you found me," she said, stepping closer. "That's enough." The space around them began to tremble again. The fragments of both worlds started to drift apart. "The bridge is collapsing," Leora said. "If you stay, both worlds will fall back into chaos." Eli looked at her with tears in his eyes. "Then tell me how to fix it." She placed her hand on his chest. Her light spread across him, warm and calm. "You already have," she whispered. "You brought balance. My curse was never about death. It was about connection. Your heart carried that connection back to me." The light between them grew stronger. The space cracked open, revealing a bright white horizon. "Go now," she said softly. "Live for both of us." He shook his head, voice breaking. "Leora, But before he could finish, her hand touched his cheek one last time. "I will always be the light that finds you." The light burst outward. Everything went white. Quiet ending scene. Eli woke up lying in the ruins of the palace. Morning sunlight poured through the broken walls. The feather was gone, but his chest glowed faintly blue, right over his heart. Outside, the people were rebuilding. The forests were alive again, full of light and song. He stood slowly, looking at the sky. For a moment he thought he saw her, a figure made of blue light smiling down at him from the clouds. He smiled back. "Between worlds," he whispered, "you're still with me." The sky above Varelia cracked open like glass. A streak of white fire fell from the heavens, tearing through the silver clouds. People in the capital city froze where they stood. The bright flame grew larger, closer, and then, boom! It crashed into the royal garden, shaking the entire palace. When the smoke cleared, they saw something they had never seen before. A man. Not one of them. Not from their world. He lay on the glowing grass, breathing hard, his clothes burned and torn. His name was Eli Parker, a scientist from Earth. He had no idea how he had fallen through the sky or where he had landed. All he saw were strange towers made of blue metal and floating lights drifting through the air like fireflies. The guards surrounded him instantly. Their armor shimmered with light, and their faces were covered with silver masks. One of them raised his staff. "Stay where you are, outsider," he shouted. Eli tried to speak, but his voice cracked. "Where am I?" The guards didn't answer. They tied his hands with glowing ropes and took him to the palace. The people of Varelia whispered as he passed. Another one from the other world. He'll disappear like the rest. No human survives here. Inside the palace, everything glowed blue. The walls, the floor, even the air itself seemed alive. The light came from strange crystals that pulsed like hearts. Eli was brought before the royal council, where an old man sat on a tall throne. His eyes were sharp and his robes were heavy with gold. This was Lord Varon, the king's high advisor. Varon studied Eli for a long time. "You came from the rift in the sky," he said quietly. "That means you are not meant to be here." "I didn't come by choice," Eli replied. "There was an experiment. A portal, then light. And now this," the old man nodded slowly. "The last time someone came from your world, the Blue Princess's curse grew stronger. Do you know what that means, stranger?" Eli shook his head. "No one dares to speak to her," Varon continued. "Those who do vanish." That night, Eli was locked in a small crystal cell. He couldn't sleep. His mind raced with questions. A princess? A curse? Why am I here? Through the tiny window, he saw the palace towers shining under the twin moons. One tower stood higher than all the others. Its windows glowed with soft blue light, not bright, but alive, and in that light he saw her. A girl with silver blue hair stood by the window, looking down at the world. Her skin shimmered faintly like moonlight touching water. Her eyes, even from far away, seemed full of silence. Eli felt something strange. Not fear, but sadness. He whispered to himself, "Who are you?" As if she heard him, the light around her flickered once. Then she turned and looked straight at him. The next morning, the guards took Eli to the palace garden to question him again. The air smelled of blue flowers and metal. A group of nobles stood nearby, whispering, "Why bring him here? He is from the cursed world. Keep him away from the princess's tower." Eli ignored them. His eyes searched for that window again. But the blue light was gone. Suddenly, a strong wind blew through the garden. The petals lifted and swirled like tiny stars. Everyone went silent. The guards bowed deeply. A soft voice said, "Who is this man?" Eli turned, and there she was, the Blue Princess. She wore a gown that shimmered like liquid light. Her hair flowed like silver silk, and her eyes were deep, almost endless. But there was something more. Loneliness. Every guard kept their head down. No one dared to look at her. Eli could barely breathe. He wanted to say something, anything, but his voice caught in his throat. Then, without thinking, he whispered, "You're real." Every guard froze. The air around them turned cold. A low hum filled the space, like thunder before a storm. The princess's eyes widened. She took a slow step toward him. No one had ever spoken to her before. "Do you not fear me?" she asked softly. Eli shook his head. "Should I?" Her lips curved. Not a smile, not yet, but something close. "They all do," she whispered. Lord Varon stepped forward quickly. "Your Highness, please." He should not. Before he could finish, the princess raised her hand. Blue light shimmered around her fingers. Everyone stepped back. She looked at Eli one last time, as if searching for something, then turned away. As she left, her words echoed faintly through the air. "Perhaps this one is different." That night, as Eli sat alone in his cell, a faint whisper brushed through his mind, soft, like wind. It was her voice. "Why did you look at me, human?" He stood, heart pounding. "Who are you?" He whispered back. No answer. Only silence. Then, just before sleep took him, he heard it again. "Because you looked at me." The curse has begun to change. The palace of Aurelia slept under a quiet moon. But inside its shining walls, something had changed. Eli Parker couldn't sleep. He kept hearing the princess's whisper in his head, soft, haunting, and somehow real. "Because you looked at me, the curse has begun to change." He didn't know what that meant. He didn't even know how she could speak into his mind. Still, her voice felt alive, not cruel, not cold, but lonely. Hook scene, our first 5 minutes. Suddenly, a faint blue light glowed under the door of his cell. The air turned colder. His heartbeat quickened. He slowly stood up, eyes fixed on the light as it spread across the floor like water. Then the shadow moved. It wasn't a guard. It was silent, graceful, almost floating. A voice whispered through the crack in the door. "Eli Parker from Earth." "Come to the garden?" Before he could answer, the light faded. The door unlocked with a click. Eli hesitated. But curiosity was stronger than fear. The palace corridors were empty. glowing softly with crystal walls. Every step he took echoed faintly. Strange murals lined the hallways, scenes of wars, portals, and people who looked human but weren't. At last, he reached the garden. Moonlight poured over the blue flowers that glowed in the dark. The air shimmered, and then she appeared, the Blue Princess. She was standing beside the fountain, her long silver hair flowing in the night breeze. Her skin glowed faintly, lighting the space around her like starlight. "You came," she said softly. Eli nodded. "I heard your voice." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "You shouldn't have been able to. No human can hear the thoughts of my kind. Yet you can." Eli took a small step forward. "Why do they fear you?" The princess turned away, staring at her reflection in the glowing water. "Because they believe I am cursed," she said. "They say anyone who touches me will vanish. Is it true?" Eli asked quietly. Her voice broke slightly. "It was for them. Every person who came close to me disappeared. But they never understood why." She reached out a trembling hand toward the fountain's surface, but stopped just before touching it, as if afraid of herself. Eli watched her carefully. "You don't seem dangerous." She looked back at him, her eyes shining with pain. "Then you are the first to say that." A sudden gust of wind blew through the garden. The blue petals swirled like tiny comets. The princess's glow flickered, and she stumbled. Eli instinctively reached out, but she raised her hand sharply. "Don't," she said. "You'll disappear like the rest." Eli froze. Maybe they disappeared for a reason. Maybe the curse is not what they think. Her lips parted, surprise flashing across her face. "You speak boldly for someone who doesn't understand this world," he smiled faintly. "Back on Earth, I was told the same thing many times." For a long moment, they stood in silence, the human and the cursed princess, under the twin moons. Suddenly, a sharp sound broke the peace, the metallic stomp of boots. "Guards." The princess's eyes widened. "You must go. If they see you with me, they'll kill you." Eli shook his head. "I'm not leaving you here alone." "You don't have a choice," she said quickly. "There's a secret passage behind the fountain. Go now." Before Eli could move, the garden gates burst open. Lord Varen entered with half a dozen guards. His cold eyes locked on them both. "So it's true," he said slowly. "The outsider has spoken to the Blue Princess." Leora, that was her real name, stood tall, her glow dimming. "He did nothing wrong," she said. Varen's expression hardened. "Your Highness, you know the law. No one is allowed to speak to you. It breaks the balance of the curse." He turned to the guards. "Take the human to the lower chambers." Eli tried to resist, but the guards' glowing chains tightened around him. Leora's voice rang out. "Stop!" The air trembled with power. Blue light burst from her hands. The guards froze, unable to move. Lord Varen stared in disbelief. "You used your power to protect him? You risked the entire kingdom for a stranger?" Her voice was calm but cold. "Maybe a stranger can see what my people refuse to see." Varen's eyes narrowed. "You are blinded by curiosity, Your Highness. You forget what happened last time." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Your touch destroyed the last one who cared for you." Leora looked away, pain flashing across her face. Eli saw it, that one line of truth she couldn't deny. Someone she had loved once, gone because of her. Before Eli could speak, the guards regained movement and dragged him away. Leora's voice called out softly, "I'm sorry, Eli." Hours later, in the dark of his new cell, Eli sat with his head against the wall. He could still feel her voice in his mind, faint but there. "You shouldn't be able to hear me," she said again. He closed his eyes. "Then why can't I?" he whispered. The answer came after a long silence, a whisper that chilled him. "Because you are not the first human to fall from the sky, Eli Parker. And the last one never left. You broke the seal, human. You carry the key." The light surrounded Eli's body. Leora tried to pull him free, but the energy was too strong. "Eli," she cried. He reached for her hand. "Don't let go." The light swallowed them both. The last thing he saw was her glowing eyes and her whisper through the storm. "If you touch the light again, the world will never be the same." Blue light filled the sky above Varelia. Every tower, every crystal, every river reflected its glow. The world itself seemed to breathe in fear. From the highest balcony of the palace, Lord Varen watched the storm twist above him. A great circle of energy hung in the clouds, the portal. After centuries, he whispered, the bridge between worlds opens again. He smiled coldly. And this time, we will control it. Far from the city, Eli woke with a gasp. The temple around him was broken, half buried under stone. Blue dust floated in the air like snow. He looked around quickly. Leora? No answer. Then he saw her lying beside the old altar, her glow faint and weak. He rushed to her side. Leora, wake up! Her eyes opened slowly. You didn't disappear. Eli smiled, though his hands shook. Neither did you. I guess we're both stubborn. She tried to sit up, but pain shot through her body. Blue veins glimmered under her skin. The light inside me. It's changing, she said softly. Your touch altered the curse. Eli frowned. Then we're getting closer. Maybe we can fix this. But Leora shook her head. It's not that simple. The curse was built with blood. My blood, mixed with human energy from the first portal. If we try to remove it, both worlds could collapse. Hook scene. First 5 to 7 minutes. Before Eli could answer, the ground trembled. A deep humming sound filled the air. The broken altar split open, revealing a glass container buried underneath. Inside floated a metal sphere covered in glowing veins. Part machine, part heart. Leora's eyes widened. That's the core of Aurelia. It keeps my world alive. Eli touched the glass. And it's human technology. The sphere pulsed faster when his hand got close. Leora's glow brightened too, responding to the same rhythm. Do you see? Eli said quickly. It reacts to both of us. That means your blood and my energy are connected. That's why I can touch you. Leora looked frightened. Connected how? He hesitated. Maybe the humans who came here long ago used DNA from both worlds to power the portal. Your blood might contain human code. Her expression turned to horror. So my curse isn't magic. It's science, Eli nodded slowly. A science experiment that never ended. Thunder rolled through the forest. Soldiers' voices echoed in the distance. Lord Varen's hunters were coming. We have to move, Eli said. But Leora didn't stand. Her glow grew stronger, spreading across her arms. Something is happening inside me, she whispered. I can feel another pulse. She looked at him suddenly. Eli, I think you awakened the part of me that belongs to your world. The forest shook again. The air shimmered as the portal above the palace expanded, sucking in clouds and light. Leora clutched her chest. It's pulling me. Eli grabbed her shoulders. I won't let it take you. But the force grew stronger, dragging them both toward the direction of the palace. At the same time, inside the royal tower, Lord Varen prepared the ritual chamber. Blue energy poured into the massive crystal ring that surrounded the portal. His guards stood trembling at the power it released. Varen raised his staff. Once the Blue Princess's blood touches this crystal, the portal will obey me. We will rule both worlds. A soldier ran in breathlessly. My lord, the outsider and the princess are alive. They're coming this way! Varen smiled darkly. Perfect. Bring them to me. Back in the forest, Eli and Leora stumbled out of the trees and saw the city glowing again. But wrong. The blue light had turned red, the color of dying stars. Leora's voice trembled. He's using the portal. He'll kill everyone. Eli gritted his teeth. Then we stop him. They ran toward the palace, following the beam of light that cut through the clouds. As they reached the gates, the ground cracked open, and blue energy burst out. Guards surrounded them instantly. Surrender the outsider, one shouted. Leora stepped forward, her glow rising like fire. You will not touch him. Her light exploded outward, throwing the guards back. The gates shattered. Eli stared in awe. She smiled faintly. I think I'm done being afraid of my own power. They entered the throne hall. The entire room pulsed with blue light. At the center stood Lord Varen, holding the glowing sphere, the core, now connected to a machine that pointed toward the open sky. Welcome, he said calmly. You've brought exactly what I needed. Leora raised her hand. Stop this, Varen. You're tearing the worlds apart, he laughed. No, Princess. I'm saving them. One world will rule, the other will serve. You and your human friend are the bridge. Eli stepped forward. If you start that device, both worlds will collapse. Varen's eyes flashed. Then they will be reborn, under my command. He slammed his staff onto the ground. The machine roared to life. The core glowed blindingly bright. Leora screamed as blue light burst from her chest, connecting to the machine. Eli, she cried. He's draining my life. Eli rushed forward, grabbing her hands. His own body glowed, the same pulse matching hers. "Fight it," he shouted. "Focus on me." Their combined light grew brighter, white this time, overpowering the red glow of Varen's machine. Crystals shattered, walls cracked, and the floor split open. Varen stumbled back, covering his face. "What are you doing?" Eli's voice echoed through the storm. "Ending the curse." There was a final deafening blast. Light swallowed everything. Quiet scene. After the blast. When the glow faded, the throne room was in ruins. The portal above still spun, but slower now. Lord Varen lay unconscious beside his broken staff. Leora opened her eyes weakly. Her blue light had turned soft, calm, no longer wild. Eli helped her stand. "You did it," he said softly. She looked at him with tears. "No, we did it." But as she spoke, a faint red crack appeared in the sky. The portal was still open, unstable. Eli's smile faded. "It's not over." Leora turned toward the window, her voice trembling. "If that portal stays open, both worlds will die." She looked at him, eyes shining with sorrow. "And there's only one way to close it." Eli understood before she said it. "You mean one of us has to go through?" She nodded slowly. "The curse began with two worlds mixing. It must end with one returning to the other." The city of Veralia was silent after the great blast. The once bright towers were cracked and dim, the air filled with smoke and dust. People wandered the streets, confused and frightened, whispering one name over and over: the Blue Princess. Inside the ruined palace, soldiers dragged Eli through the broken hall. His hands were tied, his face bruised, but his eyes were steady. Across the room, Leora stood in chains of blue light. Her glow was faint, like the last flame before darkness. Lord Varen sat on the throne again, his staff repaired with black crystal. His smile was thin and cold. "The outsider tried to destroy our world," he said loudly so everyone could hear. "And the princess helped him." Murmurs filled the hall. People stared at Leora, their princess, once feared, now accused. Eli struggled against the guards. "You're lying. He was the one who opened the portal." Varen raised a hand, and the guard struck Eli down. "Silence, human. You bring only chaos." He turned to the crowd. "The council has chosen. The curse will end tonight, with her death." Gasps rippled through the people. Leora did not speak. She only looked at Eli, and a single tear of blue light rolled down her cheek. Hook scene, first 5 to 7 minutes. That night, under a blood-red sky, the palace prepared for the trial. The ancient circle in the courtyard, once used to bless kings, now glowed with harsh light. Leora was led there in chains. Hundreds gathered around, torches in hand. Eli was thrown to his knees beside her. Varen lifted his staff. "You brought death to this world, outsider. You touched the forbidden light." Eli's voice was low but strong. "If light is forbidden, then your world will always live in shadow." The crowd fell silent. Even Varen hesitated for a moment. Leora whispered, "Eli, stop. He will kill you." Eli turned to her. "If I die for the truth, it's worth it." Varen slammed his staff. The light circle blazed blue. Leora screamed as energy wrapped around her. "The curse will break when her blood returns to the core," Varen said. "Then I will rule what remains." Eli fought against his chains. "No!" The energy grew stronger. Leora's glow spread, mixing with the circle. The air shook with power. Then something strange happened. The people began to hear voices in their minds. A child cried, "She's not hurting us. She's protecting us." Others gasped as warm light touched their skin, healing wounds and calming fear. For the first time, they felt what she had always carried, her pain, her loneliness, her love for them. The crowd began to whisper, "The princess is not cursed." "She's saving us!" Varen shouted in fury. "Stop listening. She is a weapon, nothing more." But the people stepped forward. Guards hesitated. Eli broke free from his chains, his wrists bleeding, and ran toward the circle. Leora's eyes widened. "Eli, don't!" He grabbed her hand, the same way he had that first night. Their lights joined, blue and white, and the circle shattered. A blinding wave of energy threw everyone back. Varen screamed as his staff exploded. Blue fire spread across his body, turning him into crystal. When the light faded, the courtyard was silent again.